and works to overturn
sharing of bias.
laws in the court.
What exactly caused this?
To follow the CDC guidelines.
Designed to initially home in on radiation emitted from a target, such as the
I don't think so. But January, all she does is January. She's like,
Jesus will meet us right where we are.
The following video about the prophecy of the popes all makes sense, except for one thing. But we'll get to that. Here's the breakdown.
It's called The Prophecy of the Popes, and is a Vatican document that is credited to St. Malachy. He was the 12th century Bishop of Armagh in what is now Northern Ireland. Now let me be clear from the start that I am not saying that this man's prophecy rises to the same level of detail and accuracy as those in the Bible. However, it does contain some remarkable predictions that seem to have been fulfilled across the centuries and may bear relevance for today. According to the traditional account, in 1139, Malachy was summoned to Rome by Pope Innocent II. While in Rome, Malachy purportedly experienced a vision of future popes, which he recorded as a sequence of cryptic phrases. This manuscript was then deposited in the Roman archive and forgotten about until it was rediscovered in 1590. The list is said to name every pope from Malachy's time to the very last pope, which he called Peter the Roman. This is Malachy's prophecy regarding Peter, translated from the Latin. Peter the Roman, who will nourish the sheep in many tribulations, when they are finished, the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge his people. According to Malachy's description, Peter the Roman will be the pope who will work with the Antichrist. Revelation chapter 17, verse 16, predicts that the Antichrist and the 10-nation confederacy out of the old Roman Empire will eventually turn upon the false religious system and its leader and utterly destroy it, just as Malachy predicted. I again want to stress that the prophecy of the popes was delivered by a Roman Catholic bishop and has been maintained in the Vatican's archives since its rediscovery in at least 1590. It was certainly not concocted by some anti-Catholic Protestant. Some Catholic encyclopedia claim that it's a forgery, but if it were a forgery, why has it been housed and guarded in the Vatican archives? And most importantly, it cannot be dated any later than 1590. So, if this prophecy is a forgery, it still has remarkable predictions about our present times that are over 400 years old. For example, Pope number 263 was Pope John the 23rd, whom Malachy described as a shepherd and sailor. His real name was Angelo Roncalli, and he was the son of sharecroppers and shepherds. Before being elected Pope, Cardinal Roncalli was named Patriarch of Venice, the famed canal city and seaport. Malachy described Pope 264, Pope Paul VI, as the flower of flowers. The coat of arms of the Montini family, from which he came, featured 3 flowers. Pope number 265 was Pope John Paul I. Malachy described his pontificate as the midst of the moon. On the day of John Paul I's election, the moon was half full. Albino Luciani, or John Paul I, died 1 month later under another half moon. Pope John Paul II was Pope number 266. He was identified by Malachy as being from the labor of the sun. Karol Wojtyła was born on the day of a solar eclipse. Pope number 267 is the current pontiff, Pope Benedict XVI. Before John Paul II died, I looked up what Malachy had to say about his successor, the 267th Pope. Malachy linked this Pope to the glory of the olive. One of the nicknames of the Benedictine order is that of the Olivetans. So when Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger chose as his papal name Pope Benedict, it was startling. This order links itself to a love of the olive. The next pope will be Pope number 268. According to St. Malachi, this pope will be Peter the Roman, the last pope. Peter the Roman will reign, according to Malachi's prophecies, during the horrific time of tribulation that immediately precedes the second coming of Christ. How far off might the fulfillment of Malachi's prophecy be? Well, the current Pope, Benedict XVI, will be 85 years old come April. According to the Bible, in the last days, a single global authority will emerge from somewhere within the area of the old Roman Empire. It will take control by acclamation, setting up a global government in partnership with a global religious authority. Revelation chapter 13, verse 1 identifies the political beast as rising up out of the sea and having 7 heads and 10 horns. Now, I might add here that when something rises up out of the sea is used symbolically as the mass of Gentile nations. Upon the horns are 10 crowns, indicating 10 kings or kingdoms. Revelation 13, verse 2 describes the political beast as a composite of the 4 beasts that came before. It says, "Now, the beast which I saw was like a leopard," which was the symbol of Greece. "His feet were like the feet of a bear," which was the symbol of Persia. "And his mouth like the mouth of a lion," which was a symbol of Babylon. "The dragon gave him his power, his throne, and great authority." And in chapter 12 of Revelation, the dragon is identified as Satan. Daniel chapter 7, verse 7 foretells the rise of these great beasts: a lion, a bear, a leopard. "And after this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible, and strong exceedingly, and it had great iron teeth, and it devoured and brake in pieces, and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it, and it had 10 horns." The beasts of Daniel's visions were the 4 world empires that would rule the earth: Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. The Roman Empire was the most powerful of the 4, and the only one that was not actually conquered and replaced by another political empire. When the political Roman Empire collapsed from within, it continued in a religious form under the popes, and it was called the Holy Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, symbolized by the 4th beast, the one more dreadful than the first 3 empires combined, finally collapsed from its own internal corruption in AD 461. It remained dead as a political system until the first inkling of a revival took place with the 1948 Benelux Treaty that led to the 1957 Treaty of Rome. That treaty led to the European Community, which led to the unification of Europe, which is today on the verge of a monetary collapse. Daniel and John are adamant in their count: 10 kingdoms with 7 heads. The 10 toes of Daniel's prophecy are the 10 kingdoms that arise out of the ruins of the old Roman Empire. Listen to Daniel chapter 7, verses 23 and 24, and his description of this. He says, "Thus he said, the 4th beast will be a 4th kingdom on the earth, which will be different from all the other kingdoms, and it will devour the whole earth and trot it down and crush it. And as for the 10 horns," now listen to this, "as for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom," what kingdom? The Roman Empire phase 1. "Out of this kingdom, 10 kings will arise, and another will arise after them. He will be different from the previous ones, and will subdue 3 kings." So this tells us a number of things. First of all, The revived Roman Empire has to come directly out of the old Roman Empire. Number one. Number two, it tells us that the 10 kings will be the formation of the beginning of the final world empire. And these 10 kings will rise out of the ruins first. So the 10 kings will become a power before the other beast comes up, and that's the Antichrist. So the Antichrist comes up after there already exists the 10 nations that are going to be the base of political power that will help him come to world power.
This is the problem with one man's interpretation. Nowhere in the Holy Bible are these empires explicitly stated, including Rome. And Pope Benedict was, of course, not the last pope. None of these writings by Saint Malachy, despite what was said here, was ever actually endorsed by the Catholic Church. And Pope Francis, like him or not, was not ever identified as Peter the Roman, unless he wasn't actually the Pope. This is James Anthony, reporting.
Jesus will meet us right where we are.
Thanks for watching this report. Head on over to jamesanthonyreport.com, click the live link in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen right now to support our sponsors.